Welcome back to part 3. If you have not watched part 1 or 2, I strongly recommend starting there first. In order for any of this to make sense, we must follow the rules of regulation. Link to part 1 and 2 will be in the pinned comment and description below. The open records requests have been dragging on, so I decided to release part 3.
Figure out who he is. Did he have anything in his pockets that we could kind of identify information on?
Figure out who he is. At this point, there are several things going through my mind. Are these officers seriously doubling down on stupidity with little regard on how the law works? How far do I really want to play this out? Should I just tell them their policy? Nah, screw that. They already dug their hole. No need to give them a way out. They are still recording this entire incident for me. Let me see if they will say something else stupid.
You got, have you ever had an ID issue too?
Can I answer any questions, sir?
So how are you expecting this to play out? Tell me that.
I mean, until y'all arrest me for until y'all find a crime to
So in
arrest
other
me
words,
for.
you're just trying to get us to arrest you for no reason. That's pretty much it, right?
That's pretty much what I'm in right now.
No, you're being detained. There's a difference between being detained and being under arrest. A detention usually yields an investigation.
But y'all can investigate. I'm just
And
using
that's
my
what we're
Fifth
trying to
Amendment
do,
right
but
to
you're
be
not-
quiet.
But you're not helping us out with this at all.
I have the right to use my Fifth Amendment right now.
How am I expecting this to play out, you say? Well, to find uneducated officers and give them an education they won't forget. These officers are trying to intimidate and pressure me into giving up my rights. What sensible person would volunteer to help the police when they are the subject of an investigation? Why would I help them arrest me by talking? The police are responsible for locating and gathering evidence, and my Fifth Amendment right is controlling the detention contrary to what the camera shows. I have absolutely no duty to assist them in their investigation. I have done and completed my homework. I will not assist them in doing theirs. You will see me talk and then exercise my Fifth Amendment in various parts of the detention. I do this for 2 reasons. 1, to establish dominance during the detention, especially when there is no probable cause or reasonable suspicion. Some officers say some of the dumbest things, and I could subconsciously overreact or say something on pure instinct that would tip my hand. This is an undercover sting operation to see how well they know their own policy, and so far it's not looking good.
Y'all didn't state any crime that I broke, but I'm in handcuffs.
But you do understand the detention. What is it? What do you understand as the detention?
You guys are just holding me, but you got me in handcuffs.
No.
I was
Give me-
perfectly fine
if
right
you
there.
If you know everything that you're supposed to know about the law, give me the law on detention.
You can hold me for whatever purpose, but you have to suspect me of committing a crime.
No,
No?
no.
What's your name and badge number?
My name is Officer Smith. My badge number is 6981. The suspicion.
What's your badge number and name, sir? 6173. What's your name? I can't hear you, sir. I'm sorry? I can't hear you. What's your name, sir, and badge number?
Yes, sir. Trip.
And it's going to be on a report. So if you need to get a report number too, you can get all our names and numbers on a report number.
Didn't do anything
We're
wrong.
not trying to do anything to you that you're not trying to do to us.
Didn't do anything wrong.
Sir, listen. If somebody's walking around your house, even in your house, and you think they're suspicious because they're doing something suspicious, wouldn't that raise an eyebrow for you?
If they're on public property, what?
No, don't even go there.
It is.
If somebody's
Was I not on
staring-
public property?
If somebody's staring at your house,
Was I not on public property?
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Here we go again with this lame analogy comparing apples to oranges. You cannot compare public and private property. Those are 2 completely different fruits. This should be a red flag if an officer cannot distinguish between the 2. As soon as I found a conflicting argument in his analogy, he told me not to go there. I guess that didn't work out the way he intended. I find it deeply concerning that they believe they can detain people without reasonable suspicion of a crime. There are other ways you can be detained, such as probable cause, but that doesn't apply in this situation.
If somebody's staring at your house, you're going to call the PD to come and check on to see what that person's doing.
No.
The person sitting in front of your house staring through your window. Am I right?
No.
You're not.
I'll be armed, but in that case, if I were to call the police, you guys would probably be too late.
Really?
Yes.
Possibly. You probably walked off. But what if we weren't late? Suspicious person, suspicious activities. Tell me about that law.
You can sit there and ask me questions all you want
Well,
to.
you're telling me you know the law from here and there. I'm just trying to figure out if you know exactly what's going on.
Well, I'm just gonna sit here until y'all finish what y'all doing.
Okay.
I know exactly what's going on. I know that you need probable cause or reasonable suspicion to operate on, and you don't have that. What I didn't know exactly at the time was the specifics of said law. Under Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 14.03, Authority of a Peace Officer, a person found in suspicious places and circumstances which show that such persons have been guilty of some felony. This is probably why they wanted my ID so badly. However, this section also states that a peace officer needs to have probable cause of an offense. Regardless, this will not apply to my detention. Part 6 in this section is pretty interesting. A person who makes a statement to the peace officer that would be admissible against the person under Article 38.21. This pertains to a statement being used as evidence. When being detained, if you so choose to speak, you should always choose your words wisely, and there is a specific reason for that. Why do you think Miranda rights are typically read after you've been arrested? You know that old saying, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. Officers don't tell you this in the beginning because they are hoping that you will sing like a canary. Once they gather the necessary evidence or confession for charges, they don't need you to talk anymore. In most cases, it's recommended that you don't talk to police, period. If these officers can't get what they want, let's see how far they're willing to go to intimidate and pressure me.
You can go quick and easy right now if you just give a name and date of birth.
I got all the time in the world.
If not, we're going down to our main station, get your fingerprint and figure out who you are. Because of suspicious activity.
That's a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
Suspicious activity? Are you telling me?
That does not override the Fourth Amendment.
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive.
How are you positive?
Positive.
Well, let me tell you this. I don't know you from anybody else that I'm standing around here with in this parking lot. And with the suspicious activity that you were doing, I don't know if you're trying to do something to the building or if you have some kind of a mental ailment that we need to address or get addressed or some kind of medical issue that needs to be addressed. So in order to figure that out, if you're not cooperating with us, we have to do our best. And like my sergeant also said, we have policy on this.
Why would I cooperate with someone who's treating me like a criminal? Even though I didn't do anything wrong. Why would I cooperate with someone who's treating me like a criminal, even though y'all told me I didn't do anything wrong?
You're being suspicious.
What's suspicious of?
You're videotaping an area of people.
So being in a Sonic parking lot is suspicious?
No, you were not in a Sonic parking lot the entire time.
This right here. Oh, okay, on the sidewalk in front of the station. That's considered suspicious.
If anybody calls in and says, hey, this is weird, we have to investigate.
From on the sidewalk?
Because it's not something that people normally do. That's what makes it suspicious. If a person driving by here says, huh, that looks suspicious, that's suspicious activity.
That's all right. Y'all just figure out what y'all have to do. I'll sit here and wait.
That's fine. You want to go down and just do the fingerprinting?
Sir, is there anything that we can say or do to have you assist us with our investigation?
I mean, if y'all fingerprint me, I'm suing you guys. There's no reason for this.
No.
Y'all didn't even tell me what crime I committed.
Is there anything that we can say or do to have you assist us with our investigation?
Fifth Amendment.
Could you imagine a world where police are called for every little thing that is weird, strange, or if someone didn't like you barbecuing or using a swimming pool? Well, that time is now. Officer Smith said, if people think it's suspicious, then it's suspicious activity. I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Hey, you mind loosening these up? These are kind of hurting my wrists right now.
They're on as by policy.
I understand that, but can you loosen them up? They're like really hurting my wrists.
They're on as by policy.
Can you loosen them up?
You can lean forward. They're not made for
I got
policy at all.
the seat's reclining. I got a seatbelt holding me back, so I can't really lean forward.
Push yourself up.
Just, But that's not helping.
Listen, those things are owned by policy. I put my finger in them just like I'm supposed to.
I understand that, but I'm asking you, can you loosen them? They're really tight.
Sir.
Ow.
I don't know your intentions. You haven't told me any of your intentions. You don't want to talk to us, so I don't know what your intentions are. So I'm not about to put myself in a safety situation by allowing you to get loose and handcuffs.
Well, you got a gun, taser, pepper
I
spray.
don't use my gun. I've been doing this for way too long.
Well, can you get another officer to do it? Because these are really tight.
They're not tight. I put my fingers in them just like I was supposed to make sure that you had enough room between your wrists. They're just in the position that you have your hands is making it worse.
Well, the back.
I saw some officers talking behind a cruiser, and I wanted to get a good look at them. In doing so, I might have tightened the cuffs when I readjusted my positioning in a seat. At the time, the officers didn't double lock the handcuffs. Double locking allows you to lock the cuffs down to prevent the detainee from closing the cuffs too tight on the wrists. I'll be sure to keep this in mind for the next time.
Hanging out, take care of some business.
Hey, ask him what crime he's charged me with.
Some employees from Sonic gathered to inquire about the situation. At this point, more officers were gathered at the back corner of the cruiser talking about the detention. Why do I hear boss music? I guess it's finally come down to their final play.
You got anything? Okay. Sir. All right. I just want to ask you one more time. Your name and your date of birth. Will you please give us that? Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to document this entire stop in a report. It's also documented on our digital mobile audio video. I'm quite aware that you have it documented on your personal camera. We're going to write a report. We're happy to give you the case number. If you'd like to buy a copy of the report, it'll be available to you at any police facility or online for that matter. We're then going to release you from the scene. You're not going to cooperate with us. We're going to have to put you down on a report as unknown or John Doe, whatever you choose, whatever you prefer. And from there, you'll be cut loose. I would caution you, when you find yourself in a position where you're filming a government installation like a police station, you're filming people's plates, you're filming cars, put yourself in a position where if somebody makes a complaint against you for doing that, it becomes a different situation. It can become a criminal offense if they feel like you're stealing any kind of identifying information.
Blah, blah, blah. This officer's trying to save face, blah, blah, blah. Why do officers feel the need to lecture you every time during an encounter? Do they really need to feel a sense of control or authority even when they know that they're wrong? Everything he is saying is incorrect. There's no expectation of privacy in public. The pain from the handcuffs doesn't compare to the grief that my ears are experiencing.
Us, you can take pictures of our police cars all day long and document on video and everything else, police, license plates and everything else, because those are a matter of public record. Now, you're absolutely 100% correct. You're not in violation of failure to ID laws. That was never the point. The point is the police have a reasonable right to stop you based on the Code of Criminal Procedure when we find you to be a suspicious person in a suspicious place under suspicious circumstances. In this case, we have two of those. It was suspicious seeing you outside filming our installation and the plates and the cars and the people coming in and out of the building. And that was a suspicious circumstance based on that. That's why you were stopped. That's why you were ID'd. We could not ID you, placed you in handcuffs for officer safety, placed you in the car. We can never come to an agreement on getting your ID. So at this point, there's not much we can really do. We're going to have to part ways and go on with our lives. Again, you're more than welcome to any kind of documentation. You can discuss this with anybody else you would like to. If you want to complain for anything, that's certainly available to you. And there's plenty of documentation, so the record will stand as it is. Do you have any questions for me? No
Am I
questions.
free?
You will be free in just 1 minute after we take the handcuffs off. Fair enough? All right, very good. Thank you.
Poor Officer Shirley trying to make excuses for his unlawful actions. The lawsuit resulted in these officers paying $5,500 that helped fund the Turnervy driver case. I was only in college during and after the ruling of many of my cases, including the appeal for Turnervy driver. Filing appeals were not cheap, but these lawsuits made it possible. One expensive lesson that will stand forever. I ended up filing a complaint sometime later after this incident, and the findings were equally disturbing as this video. Officer James Bojima with the Austin Police Internal Affairs investigated my complaint and found no wrongdoing. In fact, in his findings, he stated if Mr. Turner just identified himself, then the situation would have ended. I have called numerous times and left voicemails, and Internal Affairs would not call me back. I guess this is what it means to protect their own. I conducted a follow-up audit and they placed this green covering around the exterior of the fence, so I just used my drone to solve that issue. Thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed and learned something valuable from all 3 parts. If you would like to see more videos like this, I'll be looking in the comment section for requests.